Toyin, a 30-year-old creative designer, shares a friendship that is rare and unbreakable with Thomas, a 32-year-old IT professional. Their connection is built on mutual respect, shared laughter, and a deep understanding of each other. To Thomas, Toyin is a source of inspiration, her artistic mind and radiant smile lighting up even his darkest days. Though their friendship is purely platonic, Thomas harbors unspoken feelings for her, feelings he struggles to hide. Toyin often confides in Thomas about her life, including her relationship with her boyfriend, Joe. Despite Joe's toxic tendencies, she defends him with unwavering loyalty. Thomas listens with a mix of admiration for Toyin's forgiving nature and frustration at her inability to see her own worth. Each conversation deepens his silent yearning to show her what real love looks like, yet he fears risking their cherished friendship. Joe, a 34-year-old real estate developer, presents himself as charming and successful to the outside world. However, behind closed doors, his true nature emerges. He belittles Toyin's creative pursuits, dismissing her passion as frivolous. His wandering eyes and blatant flirtations with other women leave Toyin feeling insecure, yet she clings to the hope that he will change. Toyin's flatmate and best friend, Lola, sees through Joe's facade. She often warns Toyin, urging her to walk away from the toxic relationship. But Toyin, blinded by her love and commitment, defends Joe all the time. He's just under a lot of stress, she tells Lola, brushing aside her concerns. Lola can only watch helplessly as her friend suffers in silence. Determined to bring a little joy into Toyin's life, Thomas plans an intimate surprise for her upcoming birthday. He selects a simple yet elegant ring, not with the intent of proposing, but as a symbol of his deep affection and hope for the future. Every detail of the celebration is carefully thought out, from the flowers to the music that Toyin loves. Thomas allows himself to dream of what could be a life where Toyin chooses him and where he could show her the love and care she deserves. As the day approaches, his excitement builds, tempered by a quiet fear of how she might react. He knows the risk he's taking, but believes the chance to express his feelings is worth it. The day of Toyin's birthday arrives, and Thomas is ready to reveal his heart. The gathering of friends is lively, filled with laughter and music. However, the evening takes an unexpected turn when Joe steps forward, dropping to one knee. In front of everyone, he proposes to Toyin with a diamond ring that sparkles under the party lights. Toyin is overwhelmed with joy and says yes without hesitation. The room erupts in applause, but Thomas feels as though the walls are closing in on him. He forces a smile, masking the pain that pierces his heart. After the party, Lola finds him sitting alone, his face a mask of despair. She puts an arm around him, offering comfort that only she seems to understand. The days following the proposal are filled with sadness for Thomas. He isolates himself, his once vibrant energy replaced by a heavy silence. He rarely eats, and his work suffers as he spends hours replaying the moments he lost Toyin forever. Why would she choose someone who treats her so poorly? Thomas asked himself. Lola, noticing Thomas's low mood, steps in as his source of strength. She brings him meals and keeps him company, reminding him that he is not alone. Through her care, Thomas finds a flicker of solace. Her unwavering support begins to chip away at the darkness consuming him, though the road to healing feels long and uncertain. As weeks turn into months, Thomas and Lola's shared moments of vulnerability deepen their bond. At first, Thomas hesitates, worried that his lingering feelings for Toyin might make it impossible to open his heart again. But Lola's patience and kindness break down his walls. Her laughter becomes his new source of joy, and her presence feels like a balm for his wounded soul. One evening, as they sit together under a starlit sky, Thomas finally allows himself to speak. "I never expected this," he admits, "but I think I found something I didn't know I was looking for." Lola smiles, her eyes reflecting the warmth of his words. Their first kiss marks the beginning of a love built on understanding, mutual respect, and a shared journey toward happiness. Thomas and Lola officially begin their relationship, taking things slowly to ensure they are building a strong foundation. Thomas finds solace in Lola's understanding nature and how she always prioritizes his well-being. For Lola, being with Thomas feels like a dream come true, though she's aware of the lingering shadow of Toyin's presence in his heart. Together, they share quiet evenings, walks in the park, and discussions about their future. The warmth of their companionship begins to heal the wounds left by unrequited love. Despite their blossoming relationship, both Thomas and Lola face subtle judgments from mutual friends who are still close to Toyin. Whispers about their relationship occasionally reach Lola, but Thomas reassures her that their happiness is all that matters. They decide to cut ties with anyone who doesn't genuinely support their love. As months pass, Thomas realizes just how much Lola means to him. Her unwavering support during his heartbreak made him see that true love grows from mutual respect and care. Meanwhile, Toyin's honeymoon phase with Joe quickly dissolves. The once thrilling relationship turns toxic as Joe's behavior grows worse. His infidelity becomes even more obvious, and he begins showing his temper more often. Their arguments escalate into shouting matches, and Toyin struggles to reconcile her love for Joe with the reality of his flaws. One evening, Joe returns home late and drunk. He confronts Toyin about some minor issues, blaming her for everything wrong in his life. Toyin tries to reason with him, but Joe lashes out. This marks the first instance of physical mistreatment, leaving Toyin in tears and questioning the decisions that brought her to this point. Despite her pain, she convinces herself that she can change him with love and patience, ignoring Lola's advice to leave Joe for her own safety. As time passes, Thomas becomes certain that Lola is the love of his life. Her kindness, loyalty, and ability to make him laugh, even in the darkest moments, have shown him what true love should feel like. Determined to secure their future, Thomas begins planning a proposal that will show Lola just how much she means to him. On a quiet Saturday evening, Thomas invites Lola to a fancy dinner at a cozy restaurant overlooking the city. After the meal, he takes her hand and leads her to the rooftop, where a small arrangement of candles and roses awaits them. With the twinkling city lights as their backdrop, Thomas gets down on one knee and declares his love for Lola. Tears stream down her face as she says yes, and they hug each other, their hearts full of hope for the future. Back in Toyin's world, her marriage to Joe continues to deteriorate. Joe's behavior grows more ruthless, and Toyin begins to feel isolated and trapped. Her once bright and confident demeanor fades, replaced by a shadow of her former self. Her flatmate Lola's words echo in her mind, but Toyin refuses to admit that she might have made the wrong choice. Toyin confides in a co-worker at work, seeking advice on how to fix her marriage. The co-worker suggests couples counseling, but Joe scoffs at the idea, mocking Toyin for even suggesting it. One night, after another heated argument, Toyin decides to write down her feelings in a journal. As she pours her heart out, she realizes just how much she has sacrificed for Joe, only to receive nothing in return. Despite the mounting evidence that her marriage is toxic, Toyin clings to the hope that things will somehow get better. Thomas and Lola's wedding is a joyous affair filled with laughter, love, and celebration. Friends and family gather to witness their union, and the couple's happiness is palpable. Lola stuns in a lace gown, and Thomas looks dashing in a tailored suit. As they exchange vows, they both feel a sense of peace and fulfillment, knowing they've found their soulmate. During the reception, Thomas takes Lola's hand and leads her to the dance floor. The newlyweds share their first dance, surrounded by their loved ones, who cheer and clap for the couple. For a moment, all their past struggles fade away, and only the promise of a bright future remains. However, in the back of Thomas's mind, he can't shake the thought of how Toyin might react to the news of his marriage. Toyin's life takes another turn when she overhears Joe on the phone late one night. His tone is serious, and he mentions something about a deal going wrong. Though she can't make out the details, Toyin feels uneasy and scared about the conversation. The next morning, Joe brushes off her questions when asked and tells her to mind her own business. Despite Joe's dismissal, Toyin begins to pay closer attention to his actions. She notices that he's spending more time away from home and often comes back smelling of alcohol and cigarettes. One day, while cleaning the house, Toyin discovers a hidden stash of cash and documents that suggest Joe might be involved in illegal activities. Fear grips her heart as she realizes she may not know the man she married as well as she thought. Toyin's discovery of Joe's hidden stash only deepens her anxiety. The once naive belief that Joe would change has now given way to cold reality. Though she doesn't confront him immediately, her heart pounds every time he comes home, wondering what new secrets he's hiding. She tries to distract herself by focusing on work, but her mind is constantly clouded by fear. One day, she decides to confide in Lola. Although their relationship has grown distant since Lola married Thomas, Toyin feels she has no one else to turn to. As they sit together over coffee, Toyin hesitates before pouring out her fears. Lola listens carefully but feels conflicted. Though she wants to support Toyin, part of her remembers how Toyin had once dismissed her warnings. Gently, she advises Toyin to think about her safety and consider leaving Joe. But Toyin, as always, insists that love will prevail. Thomas and Lola's marriage blossoms into a beautiful partnership. They find joy in the little things, like cooking meals together, late night talks, and making plans for the future. Thomas encourages Lola to pursue her passion for fashion design, and soon she begins to build her own clothing line. Her success brings a sense of purpose and fulfillment that she never thought was possible. One evening, as they sit on the couch watching TV, Thomas brings up the idea of starting a family. Lola smiles, but admits she's nervous about balancing work and motherhood. Thomas reassures her that they'll figure it out together. Their love for each other grows stronger with each conversation, and they feel ready to embrace whatever the future holds. Joe's reckless behavior begins to catch up with him. One night he comes home in a rage, slamming doors and yelling at Toyin. She tries to calm him down, but he shouts about a deal gone wrong and blames her for bringing bad luck into his life. Twin, now used to his outbursts, quietly retreats to the bedroom, but deep down, she is very angry. A week later, Toyin receives a call from an unknown number. The voice on the other end identifies itself as a police officer. He informs Toyin that Joe is under investigation for fraud and that they might need her to testify. Shocked and confused, Toyin doesn't know what to say. She hangs up the phone and sits in silence, wondering how much longer she can endure this chaotic life. While Joe faced the challenges life threw his way, Thomas and his team struck gold when their newly developed app went viral, catching the attention of major international investors. These investors offered to purchase the app, turning Thomas and his team into instant millionaires. Thomas's life transformed from great to extraordinary, but he had no idea that even greater joy was just around the corner. As Thomas and his team were celebrating their monumental success, Lola discovered she was pregnant. Overwhelmed with joy, she immediately called her husband to share the wonderful news. The announcement of this double blessing filled their hearts with immense happiness. They immediately begin preparing for the baby, decorating the nursery and reading up on parenting tips. Thomas becomes even more attentive, ensuring Lola is comfortable and well-fed throughout her pregnancy. During one of their prenatal appointments, they learn they're expecting a boy. Overwhelmed with joy, they begin brainstorming names and imagining their future as a family of 3. The baby becomes a symbol of their love and commitment, and they eagerly count down the days until they can hold him in their arms. Toyin discovered about Thomas's newfound wealth as the news spread widely across the internet. Her heart was filled with mixed emotions as she found herself happy and jealous at the time. A few days later, Joe's criminal activities come to a stop when he gets caught in a shady deal and killed in a confrontation. The news shatters Toyin. Despite their turbulent relationship, she never imagined life without him. The house feels empty and the silence is deafening. Alone and grieving, Toyin sinks into depression. She stops going to work and spends most of her days staring at old photos of Joe, wondering where it all went wrong. Her health begins to decline, and friends who try to reach out are met with silence. Even Lola, despite their strained friendship, feels a pang of sadness for Toyin and hopes she can find a way to heal. Toyin's life takes a turn when Lola pays her an unexpected visit. Seeing Toyin's messy state, Lola feels a mix of pity and determination. She sits beside her friend and gently urges her to seek help. "Toyin," Lola says softly, "you can't keep living like this. Joe's gone, but you are still here. You deserve a chance to rebuild. Though reluctant at first, Toyin eventually agrees to see a therapist. Her sessions begin slowly, with her recounting the pain of her failed relationship and her deep-seated guilt over ignoring all the warnings. Over time, she starts to see glimpses of her old self, the vibrant woman she used to be before Joe entered her life. She begins taking small steps like cleaning her house, visiting her family, and even attending a women's empowerment seminar recommended by her therapist. Lola's happiness with Thomas is disrupted when Toyin begins to reinsert herself into their lives. It starts with innocent phone calls, then escalates to Toyin sending Thomas lengthy messages about their past friendship. Thomas is transparent with Lola, showing her the messages and expressing his discomfort. Lola decides it's time to confront Toyin directly. She visits her one afternoon and, with a mix of anger and sadness, she says, "Why are you trying to ruin my marriage? I've been nothing but supportive of you, even when you ignored my advice about Joe. Now, you're trying to come between Thomas and me." Toyin unrepentantly fires back. "You stole Thomas from me. He was always meant to be mine, and if I can't have him, neither can you." Lola left afterward, shaken but determined to protect her family. Toyin's obsession with reclaiming Thomas reaches a dangerous peak. She begins plotting ways to isolate him from Lola, even going as far as attempting to frame Lola for theft. Her behavior becomes erratic, and whispers about her actions start spreading among mutual friends. Meanwhile, Thomas grows increasingly concerned. "Lola," he says one evening, "we need to take this seriously. Toyin's actions are becoming unhinged. I think we should involve the authorities if this continues." Lola hesitates, but agrees that they need to prioritize their safety. They decide to document every interaction with Toyin, preparing for the worst while hoping for the best. Toyin takes her evil plots to the next level by kidnapping Lola and Thomas's eldest son. The act is devastating, leaving the couple scared and terrified. They contact the police, who launch a city-wide search. Toyin, meanwhile, keeps the child in a hidden location, convinced that this will force Thomas to leave Lola and return to her. During this time, Thomas and Lola's bond is tested like never before. They lean on each other for strength, refusing to let Toyin's action break them. "We'll get our son back," Thomas says with unwavering conviction, "and Toyin will pay for what she's done." After days of searching, the police track down Toyin's hideout, desperately holding the child and ranting about how she and Thomas were meant to be together. The officers manage to de-escalate the situation and safely rescue the boy, returning him to his relieved parents. Toyin is arrested, and during her interrogation, she confesses to her actions, claiming that her love for Thomas justified everything she did. Her words send chills down the spines of those who hear them. Lola, watching from a distance, feels a mix of relief and sorrow. "I just hope she gets the help she needs," she whispers to Thomas. While in custody, Toyin undergoes a psychiatric evaluation. The psychologist uncovers deep-seated issues from Toyin's past. The abandonment by her father, a turbulent relationship with her mother, and unresolved insecurities. These traumas explain her obsessive behavior toward Thomas and her destructive decisions. Toyin's mental state is presented in court, where her lawyer argues for leniency due to her fragile condition. Lola and Thomas attend the trial, hoping for closure. As Toyin takes the stand, she apologizes for her actions. "I lost myself," she says tearfully. "I thought love could fill the void inside me, but I was wrong." While her words are heartfelt, Lola and Thomas know that forgiveness will take time. After weeks of deliberation, Toyin is sentenced to a psychiatric facility for rehabilitation and treatment rather than prison. The judge emphasizes the need for her to address her mental health issues to prevent future harm. While Thomas feels a sense of justice, Lola is conflicted. "She needs help, but I can't forget what she's done to us," Lola said to her husband. Thomas reassures her, saying, "This chapter is closing. We have to focus on healing and moving forward." The couple decides to channel their energy into strengthening their family and rebuilding a sense of normalcy for their children. With Toyin no longer a threat, Thomas and Lola focus on repairing the damage her actions caused. They spend more quality time with their children, creating new memories to overshadow the traumatic ones. Thomas, feeling guilt over his unplanned role in Toyin's obsession, makes a conscious effort to be more open and transparent with Lola. Meanwhile, Lola begins attending therapy sessions to process her emotions. "You've been through a lot," her therapist tells her. "It's okay to feel conflicted about Toyin. Healing isn't linear." These words help Lola come to terms with her mixed feelings, and she gradually starts to forgive Toyin. Not for Toyin's sake, but for her own peace of mind. Lola and Thomas face another challenge when Thomas's business suffers a sudden downturn. Competitors emerge and they lose some key clients. The couple rallies together, determined to weather the storm. "We've been through worse," Lola says, encouraging her husband. "We'll get through this too." Thomas is inspired by Lola's unwavering support. He works tirelessly to revamp his business strategy, and slowly but surely, his efforts pay off. This period of struggle brings them even closer, reinforcing their commitment to each other. They celebrate small victories, cherishing the journey as much as the destination. After 2 years in the psychiatric facility, Toyin is deemed fit to rejoin society. She reaches out to Lola and Thomas, not to rekindle old friendships, but to make amends. "I can't undo what I've done," Toyin says during a heartfelt meeting. "But I hope you can find it in your hearts to forgive me." Lola and Thomas listen intently, their emotions a mix of skepticism and compassion. While they are not ready to fully trust Toyin, they acknowledge her efforts to change. "Forgiveness is a journey," Lola tells her. "But we wish you well." Toyin lives with a lighter heart, determined to live a life of integrity. Lola and Thomas celebrate their 10th wedding anniversary with a lavish party attended by close friends and family. The event is a testament to their resilience and love. Their children, now older, make heartfelt speeches about how their parents have inspired them. During the celebration, Lola reflects on their journey. "We've been through so much," she tells Thomas. "But I wouldn't trade it for anything because it brought us here." Thomas smiles, holding her close. Here's to many more years, he replies, raising a toast to their love. Toyin, now working as a social worker, runs into Lola at a charity event. The two women share a brief but meaningful conversation. Toyin speaks passionately about helping others, and Lola can't help but admire her transformation. Life is funny, isn't it? Toyin says with a bittersweet smile. We all find our paths, even if they're not what we expected. Lola nods, wishing her well. As they part ways, Lola feels a sense of closure, knowing that Toyin has finally found peace. Years later, Lola and Thomas watch their sons graduate from university, beaming with pride. Their family has grown stronger over the years, filled with love and mutual respect. They've turned their trials into triumphs, proving that resilience and unity can overcome even the darkest times. As they sit together during the celebration, Lola rests her head on Thomas's shoulder. We've built a beautiful life, she says softly. Thomas kisses her forehead. And it's only going to get better, he replies. The couple walks into the sunset, ready to embrace whatever the future holds. In the comment section, let us know what you think about this story. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories.